Anxiety generally will peak in the late springtime, and my sponsor, BetterHelp, can connect you with a therapist that will help. The majority of BetterHelp members seek help for anxiety, and 69% of members report better anxiety symptoms after just 6 weeks on therapy with BetterHelp. It's easy to start. Just fill out a questionnaire, and you will match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. You can easily switch therapists anytime, and there's no extra cost if it's not the right fit. BetterHelp carefully makes sure all therapists on the platform are licensed, and their customer support team is there to help you in case you have any questions. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is simply a platform you can trust. I want you to let BetterHelp help rule your anxiety so your anxiety does not rule you. Go to betterhelp.com/Chael. That's going to get you 10% off your first month of help. betterhelp.com/Chael. Or I made it even easier. You can just click the link below.
A number of you have asked me to explain to you what is happening at 155 pounds. Now, I can do that in large part, but I will lose you in large part if you hear from any other sources in the media because they have told you wrong. And I personally, I got told finally, I got told by a great advisor, stop talking about this. And it was the night that Charles Oliveira lost the world championship to the scale. He lost it to the scale in Arizona, to which I told Ariel and the whole world was going to happen one day before that had happened. And I researched the rules and bylaws, and I, to this day, do not believe there was authority in place to strip Charles Oliveira. But the next night when the fight happened, Bruce Buffer introduced Charles as the former world champion. And Bruce was wrong. And I was told, Chael, this isn't a topic people care about. You gotta move on. And I stayed on here for weeks. But there was very legal implications that came from whether you're defending your belt or you're participating in a title match as a whole, or what is going to be next for Charles. So it's very important to have some of those details right now. If we fast forward the tape many years, it can bring us to as recently as a month ago. And the media told you that Ilia Topuria relinquished his title. And the media told you that Lopez and Volkanovski were going to fight for the vacated title. And the media was close. They were close. But they were wrong. Ilia Topuria was the champion of the world until the bell rang for Lopez versus Volkanovski. Then and only then was Ilia relinquishing the title. And it's very important to make sure that you understand some of these concepts, because now we're seeing with Islam. We were told a week ago Islam would not have to vacate or be stripped. We were told a week ago that Islam would be able to go after champ status. But now we're told that isn't the case, because Ilia and Charles are going to fight for the undisputed belt, not the interim belt. Which means Islam Makhachev is the sitting champion of the world, but he will not be the moment the bell rings. So now you're not talking about taking a world champion, moving him up weight class where he's got no ranking and no wins, and having him fight a fellow world champion. You're now talking about the former world champion, and it's a completely different conversation. If you will go look at the UFC rankings, there is nobody who is a champion that has a non-champion ranked in front of them. The only people ranked in front of champions are other champions. But that isn't the case here, is it? And it wasn't the case with Ilia Topuria either. And it wasn't the case with Ilia Topuria because our own rankings committee did not understand that Ilia was still the champion of the world. And our own ranking committee does not understand that right here, as we speak, Islam Makhachev is the champion of the world. And I think that's an entire conversation as well. Why? How? Why and how would they be the champion of the world? Because we're playing a game that it was relinquished as opposed to being stripped, and then what would happen to Islam should he get beat by example? I mean, is he now a 170 pounder? If he loses to Jack, does he get right back in the mix? At 170. Get in there with Leon, test his hand with Colby, like deal with Ian Gary, some of these top guys, and works his way back to that title shot. Is that what he does, or does he cut his weight back down to 155 pounds? And we don't have to have the answer to that, by the way. Islam has the right to change his mind. I'm just bringing to your attention that it is not a champion seeking another championship. It would be replacing a championship that you used to have. So it's a one-time champion. And the entire relevance of all of that diatribe is to prove to you yet again, whether it was Ilya, what he's going through now, what it is Islam and the announcement that we just got. What I'm attempting to prove to you is there is nothing in this sport that matters more to the fighters than the weight. The number one reason a fighter retires is not because his contract's up, and it's not because he doesn't want to do it anymore, and it's not the other end of the spectrum once he reached all his goals. The number one reason a fighter retires is he doesn't want to have to beat that scale ever again. You would have got Khabib to 30-0 if you would have just changed the weight class. And it's relevant. It's relevant and it does matter. Conor McGregor used to fight at 145. He showed us all the way up to 170 he can cover the spread. I don't know of anybody that gets better by going lower. I just know that every coach and every athlete and every gym and every trainer in the world will tell you if 150 is good, then 140 is better. Sign me up for 125. Every time we see a guy spot somebody else the weight, give somebody else a few pounds. Every weight class we see that in, all the way up to heavyweight, where Jon Jones is the smallest in the division. He's also the champion. And before him, the smallest in the division was Stipe, who was the champion. And before him, the smallest in the division was a former 205-pounder named Daniel Cormier. It just feels like we can get taught the same lessons over and over in MMA, but it is nearly impossible to learn from it.